Hello and welcome back, my beautiful froggy army, to another video. I have done Q&As on the channel before, but they're usually just kind of random, so I figured that, much like Mariah, a great practice to start here on the channel is to do a yearly Q&A where I answer all of your juicy questions near the end of the year. Just kind of, ask me some stuff. Hey Raven, what'd you get up to this year? Hey Raven, are you still into this? Hey Raven, how's the existential crisis going? Just catch up on all the things that went on throughout the year. So I asked you some questions on Instagram and I'm gonna go ahead and answer them today, and feel free to follow me on Instagram, although I never post. Let's start off with a kitty related first question for this video. Shell Bell asks, hey Froggy, my question is, when are you gonna get a third cat? And I am seeing a lot of questions about getting a third cat. When are you gonna get one? Are you gonna get one? Because I've talked about it before, especially if you come to my live streams every Monday at 4 p.m. EST if you want to join us for those. But I've talked a lot about getting a third cat and the possibility of doing so, and I even have a name picked out, which would be Pickles, because Pepper and Peach are food names that start with P, so it needs to be another food name that starts with P, and Peach is sweet, Pepper is spicy? Yeah, I guess spicy, so we need something acidic. So there we go, we've got Pickles. I think if we are gonna get another cat, it's kind of gonna be one of those things where we just let fate decide and let the cat distribution system do its work. I don't think that we're gonna be going out of our way to go get a cat, like going to the shelter or anything like that. If one finds its way to us, then we will gladly take it in and let it become part of our family. But I think at least at this moment, we're not really like actively looking, if that makes sense. It's kind of one of those things where I'm opening up my lap for a cat to fall into my lap at some point. The next question comes from Francis times 3. They ask, how does it feel talking to people that you can't see? Do you get a feel for your audience? So it is kind of a weird feeling, just like being on the internet and having a following, no matter the size. It's like people are knowing about you and learning about you, and I don't get to learn about the audience. So yeah, it is kind of weird talking to people that I can't see. I'm literally sitting here right now just looking at a camera. I'm not looking at a person, but obviously you're here watching this video and you're looking back at me. So it's a weird dynamic. The internet is such a strange, wonderful place, and I do get to learn about my audience, of course, through YouTube comments and coming to my streams, again, 4 p.m. EST, and just chatting with you guys in that way. I also have a Cameo where you guys have been able to send me like video requests, and I usually get to learn a lot about my audience through these cameos. Like, I've been getting to learn about specific viewers and what their interests are, their recent achievements, their ups and downs, all of that kind of stuff. So that's been really amazing. So I do get to, get some insight into my audience occasionally in those ways, and I think it's really great, and I love those opportunities whenever I can get them. Shop Zoe Bell asks, if a new Animal Crossing game comes out, will you make content with the new game? Absolutely, absolutely, 100%. I am so excited. I will be slurping up that new Animal Crossing content like it is a delicious bread type smoothie. Okay, like, absolutely, yes. We will be diving headfirst into whatever Animal Crossing game gets released, no matter what it is. Even if they want to do like another Amiibo festival or something, like, I'm there. Amy asks, if you haven't answered this before, how many tattoos do you have and can you show them? Absolutely. I feel like I haven't really like fully showcase them, so this would be the perfect opportunity. So I have 4 tattoos, and I will put some pictures up on the screen. The first one I got for my 18th birthday, and I was like, I'm 18, I want to get a tattoo. So I got this little kitty tattoo, and I had found this picture on Google. Okay, listen, I was 18, please don't roast me for this. I found this picture on Google and I took it to a tattoo shop, and in my head I wanted them to make something similar, right? Like, not copy it exactly, but similar. They copied it exactly, and again, I'm 18, I'm full of anxiety, and I just didn't know like how to say like, I want something similar to this, I don't want the exact thing, but they just copied it off of Google and put it on my body. So there it is, and I didn't take very good care of it, so the lines are all blurry and everything. But that was my first tattoo. I might eventually get that covered up just because I feel like I could get something much better now. But my second tattoo is a froggy chair tattoo, and at least right now in my tattoo journey, I'm telling myself that I need to get tattoos that have some sort of meaning or significance or symbolism or something, which is not the case for everyone. That doesn't have to be the only reason to get tattoos. Tattoos can just be pretty art on your body, like it doesn't have to be anything serious. But for me personally, with my addictive personality, I'm like, okay, Raven, just let's keep it slow and meaningful at first, you know. That's kind of how I've been approaching it, at least for right now. So my froggy chair totally represents like my time on YouTube as an Animal Crossing YouTuber, all of the Animal Crossing content I've made, and it just represents that era of my life. And even down the line, if I like hate Animal Crossing or something, which I don't think will happen, but even if it does, I can look back at that tattoo and just remember these times of me being here on YouTube. You know what I mean? My third tattoo is maybe less meaningful, but it is from Stardew Valley, which is one of my all-time favorite games, like of all time. I would say right up there with Animal Crossing. It is a Stardew Valley chicken, and I absolutely love it. I saw this pixel art style that the artist was doing, and I was like, yes, like I need that. It is so amazing. So I've always loved chickens, and I love Stardew Valley, and you know, just all of the Stardew Valley vibes are right there on my leg for me to see every day. And they also incorporated my little freckle that I have on my leg into the chicken, which is really cute, and I really like it. So yeah, that's my third one. My fourth one is right here on my arm. This is my most recent one that I got, and this is my crochet tattoo, which I have always wanted to get ever since I started crocheting, and it was like a huge part of my life. I've been crocheting for almost 10 years now, which is wild. It's always been a significant part of my life, so I've always wanted to have that represented on me in some way. I just never knew what to get, and I really wanted it to be extra special, so I was just waiting to find the perfect artist and to find the perfect design. So this is what I ended up getting, and I'll put a better picture of it. But we've got a little yarn ball, and it's got a hook, and it's got some flowers around it, and it's kind of like that symmetrical but like not really like offset kind of a vibe, which I really love. I specifically got some Lily of the Valleys because those in Animal Crossing symbolize perfection. I don't know if that's the real meaning of the flower like in real life, but in Animal Crossing at least that represents your perfect 5-star island. So to me, crochet is like the one hobby and the one craft that I've like perfected. Like I'm so happy with it, and it just means so much to me. So I was like, okay, obviously I have to get some Lily of the Valleys right next to it, just to kind of like symbolize that and wrap it all up together. So those are my tattoos. As of right now, I'm kind of chilling for the time being. Like I don't know what my next ones are gonna be or anything like that. Like I just got this one, so I'm happy with this for a little while. So none in the near future for me, at least right now. Azalea Amika asks, how do you come up with ideas? Like do you have a journal or a jar with ideas? I kind of have this thing in my head where I try to like combine two topics together, and I'm like, how can I incorporate these two things together? Like how can I combine plushies and combine crocheting? Like I could crochet a plushie, but that's too basic. Okay, what's something a little more interesting? Okay, let's crochet an outfit for a plushie. Okay, that'd be cute. Okay, let's crochet some things for a squishmallow and make it like a makeover and stuff like that. How can I combine Animal Crossing and Amazon? Like let's buy some weird stuff from Animal Crossing like on Amazon. How can we combine squishmallows and this random online game? Okay, let's do an Akinator squishmallow video. How can I combine squishmallows and Roblox? Let's do a Roblox squishmallow video. I think that's kind of like the thing that I try to do a lot, is how can I take these interests that I have and my audience has, and how can I combine them together to make something new, basically. But as for how I keep track of them, I use Notion, and I wish they would sponsor me. I use Notion every single day, and I basically have like a long-running list of ideas that I just have in my head that I will write down for like later use. Like maybe I just think of a title, or maybe I think of the thumbnail, so I just write that down, and later me can focus on fleshing that video idea out. And then I have a calendar which shows like the whole month, and on Notion you can obviously add things to the calendar and move them around. So I will kind of tentatively structure out like up to a week or 2 weeks in advance of content. So I'll just put like Animal Crossing build video, and then okay, let's do like a plushie video, so I'll put plushie video, and then okay, this is gonna be my stream. So I have all of these little tiles on my calendar, and then you can click on the tiles and I can write down like more notes about the video, like put the title, put what I think I'm going to put in the thumbnail, put like a script if I have a script. So basically I just have the long running list, and those are like kind of like my back burner big ideas. And then I have the calendar where I focus on like my day-to-day stuff and kind of rearrange those videos, when I'm going to post them, when I'm going to film them, and just kind of do that day by day. But I go into my Notion every single day and I'm always fiddling with it. So Notion is the place where it all happens. Rat Queen J asks, Pepper and Peach adoption stories, hashtag adopt don't shop, which I fully agree with, and I would love to tell you the full tale of Peach and Pepper. I highly encourage anyone who is looking for a pet to look into adopting from a local shelter. There's so many beautiful, precious babies at your local shelter just waiting to be adopted. But the story of Pepper and Peach, let's start with Pepper because he's a little bit of a longer one. So basically, my boyfriend Quack had a coworker who had a fiance who had a friend who she would do kind of like odd jobs for, like clean her house or take care of her cats or stuff like that. So this friend of a coworker, that whole thing, had 3 cats a couple of years ago, and one of them was her cat, and then 2 of them, one was Pepper and one was Pepper's brother. Those were kind of dumped on her in this kind of weird situation. She had a friend that had like a farm and was always having like stray cats and kittens and stuff like that. So there was this litter of kittens, including Pepper and his brother, and they were going to like be living at that farm and just be like barn cats, right? And unfortunately, kind of in that barn farm setting, there's predators all around, and usually the cats that were at that farm would get eaten, unfortunately, by like predators that were around. So the friend of a coworker knew this, and her friend who had the barn kind of was like, oh, can you take care of these 2 cats just like for a little bit, right? So it's supposed to be a temporary thing. So our friend of a coworker took those 2 cats in, and it was supposed to be temporary, but she knew if she gave them back that they might risk being hurt by predators at this farm. So she took on these 2 extra cats when she already had her own cat and like completely was not planning on it, and just had them for a couple of years, just kind of out of the blue. So eventually she started looking for homes for them because, you know, she was never planning on having them. And that's where we came in. And, you know, she was asking people around, and it got back to us through the friend of a coworker if we were looking for a cat. And it just so happened as well that the friend of a coworker who was like cleaning her house, you know, and taking care of Pepper at the time, stopped doing that, and then I like took over because I like needed a job at the time. So I was cleaning the house where Pepper was living in, and I had like met Pepper before, and I would pet him and feed him and stuff like that when I was over there cleaning the house. So I like knew how Pepper was, and I was telling my boyfriend like, Pepper's so sweet, let's get him, like he's adorable. And Quack was pretty apprehensive at first. Actually, he was very nervous because he had never had like a pet before. He never had a cat or dog growing up, so he just didn't really know what to expect. I grew up with cats, so I was like, yeah, totally, like I know how to take care of a cat, like this is right up my alley, I already know how to do this. So I was very comfortable with it. He was not. So after like we talked about it, we were like, okay, like let's just give it a shot, we'll just try it. We got Pepper, and he's been an absolute sweetie, and we've had him for a while. A couple of years, 3 years, 4 years, I don't remember, but we've had Pepper for a while, and he is just an absolute angel and a sweetie, and I love him. He's my little son, and I'm so glad that he did not end up living on that farm and being a barn cat, and he is instead with me every day, and I give him kisses every day. So that is Pepper's kind of convoluted story. There's a lot of layers to it. He has a very interesting backstory, you know, could definitely do a whole comic book about that. Peach is a lot more straightforward. We had Pepper for maybe 2 years, and I was not even thinking of getting a second cat, but I was at the pet store one day just like getting stuff for Pepper, and you know how sometimes they will have like in pet stores those little like kennels with like the clear glass in front of it, and they will have cats like and kittens for adoption. So I always go and look at those and just look at the cats, and I never like had the urge to like adopt it right away, but like I'm always like, oh, they're so cute. Peach was there in one of those, and this is what I was talking about earlier about getting a 3rd cat. Like it just felt right at the moment, and I just knew in that moment like this, like I need to take her home, like absolutely. But like I had put my hand like up to the glass, I don't think I was touching it, but I think I was just hovering my hand over or something, and she put her paw up to my hand on the glass from the other side, so it was like we were touching hands and paws, and it was the sweetest thing ever. And right then was that moment when I was like, yes, this is my cat. This is my cat. So we went through the whole process of adopting her, and at least in that pet store and that specific like little area that she was in, it was through like an adoption service that they have cats and they put them in those pet stores, but it is like through a adoption shelter type of thing, like a small independent one. So I felt good about it, and she was so sweet and so adorable, and they told us that nobody had been interested in her, and I was like, how? She was only like 1 or 2 years old, I think, when we got her, and she had already had kittens, and I guess they just kept the kittens and gave the mom up for adoption, and that made me so sad. Poor little Miss Peach. So we took her, and she is my baby. She is my absolute sweetheart. She is so wonderful, and she is always with me and always making bread on me and always wants to sit on my lap, and she's my little baby. So that is the story of both of them. It's very sweet. I love them both so much, and I'm so glad that they came into our lives like how they did. And I wouldn't change anything about it. And speaking of Peach, she literally was meowing at my door right after I was telling that story. Oh, Miss Peachy, did you know I was talking about you? She didn't know. Okay, she just wanted to come in here and explore. Sorry, I picked you up. Our next question comes from Drawing with V, who asks, is it hard to find a work-life balance? It is and it isn't, kind of. Since I don't have like a boss or a manager or anyone who's like breathing down my neck being like, Raven, you need this video due by this day or whatever, it's very easy for me to just like not have a balance whatsoever, both in a good way and a bad way. It's easy for me just to work and work and work and not allow myself to do anything else, right? Then that's how it is. If I tell myself that, then that's how I do it. And on the other side, if I tell myself I deserve a break, you know what? I'm just gonna film tomorrow, it's fine, and then I get behind schedule, that's also just how it is. So because it's me, it's truly up to my whims, whether good or bad, of how my work-life balance is, and it fluctuates between kind of those two extremes a lot, which is an amazing privilege to have. You know, there's so many people who work tiring jobs who don't have the opportunity to just not work if they're sad. So I recognize that that's an absolutely incredible thing that I'm allowed to do, and I'm so grateful for it every day. This sounds like me complaining, but I swear it's not, because I truly never like to complain about any sort of hardships making videos and being a content creator, because I will take any of those hardships gladly to be able to do what I do every single day. It's so incredible and such an amazing opportunity. But yeah, there's definitely a struggle with work-life balance. It's mostly like my own head and like my whims and emotions and like in mental health and all that stuff. So it's just something that I have to keep working on and deal with mentally and get better at as the years go by. Next question comes from Roxanne, who asks, hope this doesn't happen, but do you have a plan if YouTube doesn't work out anymore? And no, I don't actually. I don't, which is totally not a thing that gives me an existential crisis on a week to monthly basis whenever I think about it. It's fine. So starting YouTube and being a content creator was never in the cards for me. That was never a thing that I was like planning or seeking out to do. It just kind of happened, and I've just kind of been rolling with it for the past 3 years, like as I've been doing it. I never went to college or had any sort of formal education outside of high school, and the little jobs that I did work before I did this, not very much experience. I worked at a school for a little bit and worked with kids, and I did some online stuff that didn't require college degree, so my experience with other things or education is very lacking. Does that give me big anxiety thinking about the future, and if YouTube just gets deleted one day, that I'm just not gonna have any sort of experience or anything? Yes, it does. But the thing that Quack tells me whenever I dump all of this on him, and what I try to remember, is that YouTube itself has given me plenty in the way of experience with public speaking, knowing how to be my own boss and manager and be consistent and have that self-sufficiency, I guess you could say, and just know so much about the online space that I hope that I could find something similar. I think there's things out there that I could do, you know, whether that be becoming a social media manager for a company or making content for brands or something like that. I think there's things I can do that YouTube itself has given me that experience for, that I definitely wouldn't have been able to do before I started YouTube and did all of this. So in conclusion, there's no plan and I'm just hoping for the best if that ever happens. Grandma Elizabeth asks, what is on your bucket list of things to do / accomplish in 2024 and in the future? So I guess this is kind of like resolutions as well. I really want to work on my athleticism, not in the way of like, oh, I need to like be fit and lose weight, but just like I don't want to be out of breath when I climb one flight of stairs. I hate it so much. I feel so out of shape. I just want to be able to like jog without dying. You know what I mean? Like that's it. Like that's all I want to do. Just something that I've struggled with for a long time and that I really, really, really want to try to be better about is being a cleaner person. Not because I'm like dirty and disgusting, but like I make messes everywhere. My office is always a disaster. I'm always leaving dishes everywhere. I'm always leaving like bags of stuff everywhere. I have a giant mess in my office right now that is not visible to you because I push everything into a corner to record videos. So I definitely want to work on just like, okay, we're gonna pick things up as we go. Like I take something out of the cabinet, I'm gonna put it back away in the cabinet. It's such a like a small thing that you think it's not really something like that you have to work on, but like it starts to get to you eventually. I look everywhere and it's a mess, a disaster everywhere. My clothes, oh my goodness, the laundry and the clothes, don't even get me started on that. Everywhere all the time, on the couch, on the floor, on my bed, in a giant basket filled to the brim, everywhere in my closet. I don't hang things up. It gets to be a lot. It gets to be intense and a lot. So that's definitely something I want to work on next year, for the future, for the rest of my life. But more broad, like YouTube future wise things. I just want to keep doing things that I love. I want to keep being passionate about my interests. I want to keep being myself unapologetically and, you know, doing ridiculous things, collecting hundreds of plushies, making weird videos, making silly videos. Just, I want to protect my happiness as much as possible and express it and share it with you guys in whatever way that brings me joy. And I think we will end off this video with a very important question from Meadowview Studios, who asks, what is your favorite type of bread? Definitely Cuban bread all the way. Absolutely delicious and wonderful. You know, if you get it from the grocery store, it's in that little warmer. You take it out of the warmer, it's warm. You go home, you slice it up. You do like a little tostada situation. You slather some butter. You make it nice and crispy. There is nothing more elite than some buttered Cuban bread. I am telling you. It's absolutely divine. But thank you guys so much for asking me questions. I'm sorry I couldn't get to all of them, but I would love to do more Q&As in the future. If you want to ask me more questions, feel free to join me on my streams every Monday at 4 p.m. EST. We talk about a lot of fun things, a lot of ridiculous things. Feel free to ask me questions on there. Thank you so much for another wonderful year on YouTube. I appreciate you all so, so much. Thank you for allowing me to continue doing this amazing, incredible thing for a job every day. I am grateful for it. I'm grateful for you. And I wouldn't change it for the world. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you like Cuban bread, subscribe and like this video as well. I would super duper appreciate it. It's the best way to support me. But thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.